Hey, YouTube, I'm Brick Smith, and I'm clinically, chemically imbalanced. As always, is my partner. The show, the man who the show would not be without him. It would just be forever sorting with Kevin A. Hinkle, everybody.
I am not imbalanced.
Or are you?
Maybe I am. I'm undiagnosed. Welcome back to Forever Sorting, ladies and gentlemen.
Glad to have you back.
We are rebounding from our live episode last week, getting a little bit back into the normal swing of things here. So thanks for joining us for another episodic tale. I mean, life isn't, but this is.
Okay.
Life is definitely not.
Oh,
so
great news. As of recording this, we found all the groceries we needed. We got toilet paper, we got water, and we found bread.
Good. Nice. Awesome.
We can survive another month. We're good.
Oh, good. Do you stock up for a month?
No, it's 2 weeks worth.
Okay.
But if I need to, I can stretch it out.
Yeah. So my tradition, which I actually can't stand, but it's the way it's been for years, is I grocery shop for my family every Saturday, weekly, every Saturday. I think we eat too much money, or we eat too much. Yeah, we eat too much money.
Definitely
we eat too much. But every Saturday, once upon a time, I remember we used to shop once every 2 weeks. We did that for years. And I don't know what has changed or what has transpired. I mean, obviously we added another human. That changed because we used to shop every 2 weeks when it was before my younger son was born. So we have another human being. But I don't know. It's something that I think about. I'm like, I shop every single Saturday now. But whatever.
And I tell you, we do what we do is we do one every 2 weeks. We do big grocery, and then we do staples in the middle. Like, we don't buy myself the sandwich meats for my lunches. We buy that every week. That way, if it's here, Kevin, I will eat it.
Right.
And that's the shame. That's the shame of it all.
That's the shame.
That's the shame of it all. We have to buy it every week, or I will eat all of it. Only the frozen and cooked foods can be sit there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, if I don't have to cook it, I'm gonna eat all of it.
Is it like Patrick from SpongeBob, where he just sits there and his mouth turns into a vacuum cleaner, and all the food starts coming off the table?
Well, I ate half a pound of cold cuts last night without bread, just because I could. Kevin's like, what? Yeah.
So we're gonna dive into your comments from last week, ladies and gentlemen.
Not even nothing, huh?
I don't even know how to respond.
There is no response to that. I bet there'll be a good one in the comments.
There'll be a good one in the comments. Welcome back.
I could eat. Sorry.
Thank you guys who were there for the live episode. We appreciate that. We don't do a lot of those.
And the ones that couldn't make it and watched it
on the replay.
The replay.
We do not, and that is something that I've told Julian multiple times. Is I just don't. My quote is, I like to be strategic with the live streams for this program.
Sure.
Because I think this is, I think it has a different goal than let's hang out, right? Like, that's the whole point of the Friday night stream, the Saturday night stream, the Sunday night stream, and all the other streams. This is not that. No. And I think as evident from our live one, we didn't really progress anything. We just hung out. That's what we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it further drives my point that I don't like to do too many live Forever Sortings, because it just doesn't, it's like hanging out. And in my mind, I always think, oh, it'll be great. People have been listening to the story and our tangents for months. They've built up so many questions. And then I'm like, fire away, everybody. And it's like we get one. It's like, and then everybody else is just like hanging out, chit-chatting, talking about topical events. And it's like, that's great, but it's just like not what it's like not what the
Forever Sorting podcast / YouTube video
is all about. But thankfully there are other opportunities for that to happen.
But folks do like us to go live from time to time.
That's true. So we're not going to abandon the concept, but just be strategic. So with the live episode, we did get 5 comments that were posted on there. So everyone can relax that there's not like 25 comments that'll take 45 minutes to go through. So our first comment comes from Blockhead UK.
Hey, Kaz.
And said, "Ha, fun episode. # April is not a thing." Oh, no, April. I'm sorry. April is not until April. Yes, I see it. Homeschool. I mean, it's Friday night anyway. So April, yeah, that was one of the best moments though. Was Kevin, April's not till April.
Well, in case anybody was wondering, this was Bricksmith was drinking.
Bricksmith was drinking, and you did your own show after. So, all right. Dude20 says, "Love the live show, guys. It was awesome. Keep up the good work." 4 exclamation points. Scott H510, "I'm always late to the party." It's all right. You caught it on the rebound.
Yeah, Scott. As long as you can see it, that's what counts.
Bricks on the Dollar says, "Oh no, something else to take away from the story. A live chat." I tried to read that as irritated as I could.
It still doesn't truly encompass how angry Chris was about it.
Probably not. Alex McBrick is our last comment, and it says, "I'm so sad I missed this. I realized why I wasn't getting notifications. It's because I wasn't subbed with my personal account that I have tied to my phone. Now that I have fixed that, meaning he is subbed twice, and now I look forward to being able to join the next stream whenever and whatever it may be."
Absolutely awesome. So the next stream, maybe not Forever Sorting Live, but the Bricksmith stream will be at 9 o'clock, between 8 and 9 Eastern on Sunday. And I have it on good authority that we have some friends I haven't seen in a while coming to join us.
It's a family reunion.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. So yeah, welcome back everybody. So last time we actually talked about my tale that I'm like flabbergasted that we are still talking about. I understand that a lot of that is due to tangents and event coverage and all kinds of other things, but that's how life is, folks. That is how life is. But the last time we were talking about Paul taking over as the community manager for America, me kind of settling into a new role, me discovering, oh my goodness, I am being removed from my team and put on a different team, and trying to figure out what all that really means.
Well, I can tell you right off, and I'm going to jump in real quick. What it means is Lego doesn't know what they're doing.
I mean,
the Lego group has no idea how to run a proper business.
I mean, they know how to make cool sets.
They know how to make products. I like their brick. They have a high-quality product. We'll keep saying that.
Yeah, they have a high-quality product. So I've talked about this a little bit before, but I kind of wanted to dive into it the next time we got into the tale. One of the really big hurdles that was thrown at me when I really had the time now to focus on it as this marketing person. So, my new title was Market Integration Manager. That was my new title. That was a title that was literally created for me.
My goodness.
So they split the role from community manager to me, and they're like, well, what in the heck do we call Kevin? We'll call him a market integration manager. And that meant my job was to integrate the Lego market. So a Lego market would have been like Lego US, Lego Canada, Lego Latin America, and Lego Brazil with the community. So someone who's on the inside, who does not have any public-facing external communication with the community, but I am advocating for the community internally, trying to get these business units to see the value in partnering. Partnering is the key word, not using, but partnering with the community to do things, whatever that could be. So that was now my world. Right now I'm focused on that, which is kind of great because as I've mentioned much earlier in the story, one of the biggest challenges of being a community manager pre the split is that you have to put on 2 completely different shows for the external and the internal side of the job. and it takes very different like terminology, different mindsets, different vocabulary, different everything, and it can kind of mess with you and just drain you.
I imagine so.
It's like you switch gear. It's like being in a car and just switching gears all the time. So now I'm like, oh great, I don't have to switch gears anymore. I've got one gear, and I can just focus on the company while Paul focuses on the community. Meanwhile, in Paul's realm, Paul had the wonderful honor that every community manager has, myself included, Jim before me, Steve before him, Jake before him, is that everybody and anybody, yes, there's always exceptions, but we'll move beyond that, hates the new guy. That's what they do. When you're a nebulous form of enthusiast for a product or a brand, and you have a new chaperone, you hate the new chaperone. That's what you do. So when you guys were listening to my story talking about me taking over for Steve, remember what I said? Well, Steve never did it that way, or Steve let us do it this way, or Steve gave us free stuff, or Steve did this. Yeah. Paul was being bombarded with, well, Kevin used to do it this way, and Kevin gave us these, and Kevin would do that. And it's interesting because Paul and I sat directly next to each other. Mm-hmm. So our desks were diagonally touching. Right. And Paul would be like, Kevin, as he's getting acclimated into his role, he's getting introduced to lugs, introduced to ambassadors, introduced to convention owners. He's like, Kevin, so-and-so from so-and-so group says he used to do this. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Because a lot of people were trying to take advantage of the situation.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, because, hey, you can always, there's good people and there's bad people. Community's no different. And so they'd be like, well, Kevin used to make an exception for us. And Paul would always ask. He'd be like, hey, I got this. Did you do this? And 9 times out of 10, they were full of it. And I was like, no, I never said that. There was a couple times where I'm like, yeah, I did that. And here's why I did it. And now you can make a decision if you want to continue that or not. It's up to you. And some of those he did. I think most of those he did because he didn't want to rock the boat too much on his own. He had enough other things because it's just like fate. Fate has it so that when you're the new community guy, the company like enacts major changes on things. Oh, sure. And it's like, oh, we're going to do this now. And we're going to get rid of that thing. And so I can't even remember, but there was stuff because there always is stuff. And so Paul was the messenger. He'd be like, all right, well, this is the thing. And the community would take it in a totally other way. Like Paul's the new guy and the new guy is getting rid of this thing that Kevin used to give us. Even though Paul would have nothing to do with it, I would have nothing to do with it. It would be like a company decision, and he's just the new guy.
Oh, I get it.
So the grace period, if you will, and this is both taking into account the American lineage of community managers and the European lineage of community managers, which have been Yan and Kim, is it took a year to 2 years for the community to fully trust and get over it. Trust the new guy, get over it, and be happy and be content and work together. Now, the spoiler alert, Paul, due to the restructuring of Lego as a company, never even got to stay in the role for those 2 years. He never even got to stay in the role for 1 year. So he kind of has this unfair reputation in the community because he got to come in, be the bad guy, and then was removed, right? So it's like he has kind of, like I said, he's a good guy. People that did interact with him don't necessarily have anything bad to say, but he still, to this day, kind of has this stigma where he's, oh, that's the guy that came in after Kevin and ruined everything and then got removed. Like, that's like, that's the thing.
I hate that, man.
Yeah, it's not fair.
He's a wonderful guy, right?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
There you go.
What?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Hold on.
Let's take him off the base stream. And is he back already?
All right, sorry.
No, you're fine.
So
whatever you just turned on though gave us background noise now.
Oh, is it still there?
Like yeah, like turn the mic off again.
Okay.
There, it's gone. Oh, turn back on.
Okay, yeah, I'm back.
It's like the air conditioner's going.
That's weird. I don't know.
Or a heater, or is it heater going?
There's I have way back in the corner. I have the dehumidifier for the basement.
I don't think that's it. We would have heard it earlier.
I don't know. I mean, the heater might have turned on.
You just broke the internet.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Damn it, Kevin. Okay.
We'll live, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
It's not that bad. It's not. You're going to listen to the playback and you'll be like, what is he talking about?
Yeah. So that's kind of an unfair thing to happen. But so one of the things that I had mentioned during the live, I was like, when I gave you guys your little, like, here's your snippet, right?
Oh,
was demand shaping. That was the term I mentioned, demand shaping. What in the world is demand shaping? So Lego back in 2016 decided that they were such a hot product, which they were.
2016, was that the year that they got Toy Maker of the Year? Or?
So 2014 is the year of the Lego Movie.
Right.
Which just, I mean, everything was up, sales were up 1,003%.
Right.
And then it just didn't stop. 2015 did the same. 2016 was doing the same. And the result of it, because of this halo effect of just brand recognition, getting Lego in the public conversation, it becoming a pop culture phenomena. Yeah. I mean, this is also when you started having, like, the Brickumentary came out, the Netflix, The Toys That Made Us starts to get in development. Yeah. Like, Lego is becoming a main conversation in, like, the public sphere. So their products sell like never before.
Yeah.
And what that results in is it results in empty shelves. And in the toy industry, empty shelves is bad. Empty shelves is not, it's kind of backwards because you go, oh, empty shelves mean you sold well. But in this kind of retail industry of I'm a toy, or I'm a Walmart, I'm a Toys R Us, I'm a Target, I don't want empty shelves because, it looks bad. I don't want empty shelves because that's shelving that could go to a different brand because I just don't want it to be empty at all. We have a contract, Lego. I promise to give you X number of shelves. Why aren't you filling it? You're making it look bad. There's a conversation that's being had between retailers and the Lego group.
I'm going to step in on that real quick and give a personal experience of mine. Every Christmas, I get a handful of cash on Christmas Eve from, whatever. And I used to go ahead and take a trip to the store. We went to Target Christmas Eve night because it was still open after I got my wad of cash, and there was no Lego left on the shelf, and it was Christmas of 2014.
Yeah.
It was gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it goes. And so, it
was like the toilet paper of 2020. Sorry.
Back then, back in the day. So, the retailers are just tapping their feet and going, well, Lego, make more.
Yeah.
Right. And at this time, the Chinese factory was not open, or it might have been open at that point.
I think
it might have been open at that point. But so there's the factory in Mexico, the factory in Billund, the factory in Hungary, the Czech Republic, and China. Those are the factories. They haven't added any more. But what's really important to note is that all of those factories run 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
There is no downtime. There is no holidays. They just run and they don't ever stop. To keep up with the demand of the products, that is when they decided to split things. Now we're kind of going a little bit further back into 2007, 2008, 2010 even.
You're breaking Clutch's heart.
Huh?
You're breaking Clutch's heart.
Well,
you're going the wrong way.
Right. Well, that is when, back then you had a lot more different factories kind of contributed things to all kinds of stuff over the world. And then they said, we can't do that anymore. How about the Mexico factory services America and the factories in Europe service Europe? And we'll build one in China that can service Asia. That's when that kind of plan and methodology started coming to be. There is still a little exception to that. Like certain factories are better at making things or more equipped or more, proficient, such as Duplo. Like all of Duplo typically comes from Hungary. But they started to streamline that kind of stuff. And so to keep up with the demand, they already had their factories. They started saying, well, this factory will service a certain region, Then they started like renovating the factories because they already have them. They're not going to make any more. So like the factory in the Czech Republic, they built a second floor on top of it. So they said, we can't make it any bigger, whatever. I don't know the specifics. So let's just add a second floor to the factory. So they did. They just added a second floor on top of it. And they were still going 24/7, right? These things are cooking. They cannot make product fast enough or in enough quantity to service the retailers, and Lego's being hot. It's hot. And so Lego in its in the biggest sense of its ego says, this is a problem we need to fix in a little bit unorthodox way. So we all know demand planning. That's industry standard. That's when you plan to accommodate the demand of your products. We're going to invent a new thing, and we're going to call it demand shaping, because we think we are so in control of this. We are literally sitting at a control panel, and we can just move levers saying, you don't want Lego products today. Now you do want Lego products. Now you don't. Now you do. That is not how it works. So Lego decided globally, this was a global thing, that they were going to install this methodologies, this thinking called demand shaping, with the primary purpose of driving demand for Lego products down. Okay. These are people that are marketing people. They have marketing degrees. They're marketing people, and they're being told, how can you make Lego less appealing, less attractive, so fewer people buy it? Why would they do that? So that the shelves remain fuller longer, to make the retailers happy, because Lego, the company, could physically not make more to keep.
Is this why there are caps to how many sets you can buy when you order?
That is really just to prevent reselling, is why that exists. But I mean, there might be a cross benefit to it, but I think it's mostly about reselling. And it's just like when they delivered this news to us in town hall meetings, Lego does these town hall meetings where each office has to gather all the employees that work in that office together, and you look. We were just like this.
Yeah.
Like just dumbfounded.
I can't even imagine.
Can you imagine being told, how can you make the product less appealing? And all the conversations in the meetings started to just, I don't know a better word, were just stupid. They were stupid conversations. Yeah. Like we would sit there. I remember sitting in a meeting discussing the next year's schedule for Lego store grand openings. And I was there with good old Master Builder Dan and also Master Builder Chris. And they were told, we're sorry, we're not going to be sending you anymore to grand openings because we're not going to be doing a large scale build, because we've come to the realization that when we do events like that, it drives sales. And we're not allowed to drive sales this year. We have to drive demand down.
What year was this?
This is 2015, 2016. No, it's 2015, I think. So no, 2016. I'm right. 2016.
Well, what is it? What is it, Kevin?
2016.
Sure?
Yes, I'm sure. And so, yeah, I'm positive. Okay. I just had to think about it for a second. So yes, 2016. So they were not allowed. They were not allowed. And every time you went into a meeting and you talked about like all the stuff we see today, right? Little gift with purchases, little promos, double VIP, triple VIP. All of that stuff was told, or all those initiatives, those pitches were told, is that going to drive sales? And we're like, well, yes. And then you'll be told, well, then you can't do it. The how do I want to say this? The consolation prize, I guess, or the backup plan, was if you were going to drive sales, you couldn't do it because we were in a demand shaping down phase. But if you were going to do brand building, just make the Lego brand bigger, like make the philosophy of Lego play, you could do it, because that's not driving sales. That's just driving brand awareness.
So you got everything that was God.
So it was ridiculous. A lot of people were angry. A lot of people were bored, because I mean, some people, like, that's their job is to market. What do they do now? They can't market. They were literally told, don't market, because we can't keep up with demand. So we're demand shaping down. What is absolutely ludicrous about this whole thing, just absolutely, and it makes me furious, is that this was a very top-down decision. This is not the people on the front line saying we should sell less. This is a top-down, and it was celebrated. It was seen in the retail and the toy industry as an amazing maneuver. As I mentioned before, there are Forbes magazine articles. There are blogs that have talked about this. Find them, search for them, that applaud Lego for inventing and implementing this demand shaping tool, because they're like, wouldn't you want to be a brand that's so hot and so profitable and so successful that when you want to push that lever down, you can, and you don't suffer? Like, it was really like celebrated. Wow. And it was making the rounds, it was like on all the business information, social media, and like, check out what Lego does. And what just makes me absolutely furious is it worked. So yeah. you turned it down. And at the end of 2016, what did Lego have? It had its first decline in profits in like 11 or 12 years.
Wow.
It went down 2%.
My God.
2%. And for those of you guys that, keep close eyes on your Lego history and you follow the company and all that stuff, what happened the next year in 2017? The layoffs, the entire restructuring, the 2,000 people being told, we didn't make enough money last year, so you got to go. It's like, do you realize the leadership of this company forced the employees to not do their jobs for a year? And then at the end of that year, the company reported a drop in profit, right. A 2% drop in profit, and saw that as red alert. The sky is falling. We have never seen this something so terrible. Bring in outside consultants, outside counsel, examine this company from top to bottom. We're going to talk about all this in depth later. Sure. And please get rid of as many employees as you can, which turned out to be about 2,000 people. I'm like, what twilight zone do I work in? I'm like, how about you get rid of everybody at the top that thought that was a great idea to do that? It's like, am I taking crazy pills?
So I got a question about this. So you said that for years and years, the Lego group hadn't seen a decline in profit.
Right. It was always up every year.
So let's just discuss something real quick. So, and I know you don't have the exact numbers, but let's just talk about this real quick. If 15 was bigger than 14, and 14 was the biggest by 1,000%.
Yeah.
Didn't you say sales were up by 1,003%?
There was. I do remember. So I don't remember what it was.
Crazy ass number.
But there was one of them had like 1,000% increase.
Okay. So we're 2016, 2015, 2014.
Yeah.
So we're up in the quadruple digits.
Yeah.
For 14 and 15 stronger, and 16 takes a 2% loss.
Yeah.
So that means that if you'll just look at 2013 versus 2017, it's probably up by millions.
Right. The company had literally never made more money in its history that year.
That was absolutely, this was orchestrated. What you always say, Lego's 2.5 years out with their product.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like they are with their plans too. To eat themselves. Right.
It's so I think this has been a really, really long time since I've said this, but this quote just came back into my head. One of my favorite Lego quotes is from Godfred, who was Ole's son, Godfred said the only thing that can destroy Lego is Lego itself. And he's right on the money. The product is an absolutely brilliant product.
Yeah, can't argue with the product.
The toy is an incredible toy of just what it is and what it does for people, children, teenagers, adults. The only thing that's going to ruin it is the company, and the company really tries hard to ruin it. It's like, how do I shoot myself in the foot? How do I shoot myself in the other foot? Can I hold a gun in my foot and shoot the other foot? It's like, what are you doing? It's just one of my favorite quotes because I would say that in meetings. I remember, especially during that year, 2016, where I'm getting pulled more into internal meetings, and I'm sitting there at the table with these people being told, hey, I'm ready. Let's do stuff. I'm like, well, we can't do anything because it drives sales. I'm like, what? It's just like, I'm like, only Lego can destroy Lego, right? You guys remember that? Like, that's a thing. And I even remember that our president of the U.S. branch of Lego, when he was giving us a speech about how bad it had gotten because the sales were down, and he had a slide that had Godfred sitting at a desk, and it was like, only Lego can destroy Lego itself. And I remember a bunch of my colleagues looked at me and they're like, that's the thing you say all the time. I'm like, because that's the thing he said all the time. Yeah. I was like, you guys, I don't know why you guys just think I'm making stuff up out of thin air. But yeah, we'll get into that. So 2016 was the year of demand shaping, and really just shaping down. It was no shaping up. It was just shaping down.
Yeah.
And like I said, it worked. It worked amazingly. And so some of the other side effects of that is 2016 was the year of the relaunch of Bionicle. Now, think what you will about Bionicle. Bionicle and Star Wars saved the Lego company.
Oh, for sure.
You can't debate it. You can't, I get it. It's a different system of building. I understand that. But it has a ravenous and huge fan base. And it had been gone. It had been gone for a long time. And Bionicle had an 11-year run, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a 12-year run. And then the sales finally started to decline. That's why they stopped it. And then it had been gone for quite a while. And they were going to bring it back. This was a huge deal. Yeah. This was a huge deal. And they brought it back. And they launched Lego Bionicle Generation 2 with a $0 marketing budget because you can't make sales. So they had no money. There was very little, there was almost no commercials. There was just no marketing. And so it totally failed. It came out of the gate and just collapsed. Right. And everybody's like, see, people don't want Bionicle. It's like, no. That's BS. Mm-hmm. They were not allowed to market at all. Yeah. You can't judge. You can't just assume it's just the brand is so hot. And yes, AFLs get their product catalogs. They know what products are coming out. We can all check BFAB's video and see the next Lego theme coming out, right? But the kids don't know. They need commercials. They need the magazine to see what comic. They need to see all the media. They need to consume media so that they know what's coming out. Yep. And yes, the landscape is changing. I get that. Social media is becoming bigger. YouTube is becoming bigger. But there's still the power of television commercials and the power of promotions and marketing. There's a reason marketing exists. Mm-hmm. And so, Bionicle had a $0 marketing budget and just flopped so hard. They did a year. It was planned for a 3-year. That's that typical Lego standard. Give it 3 years, see how it does. And they didn't even get to half of it because it performed so poorly. And 2016, when we got to that last quarter, the last few months of 2016, when the writing was on the wall, they're like, oh, I think we screwed ourselves this year. They hit all those levers like nobody's business. They're like, turn on marketing, turn it all back on. That's not how it works. And so that's how in October, end of year, fourth quarter, that's how Bionicle got its booth at New York Comic-Con. They had nothing there. They weren't selling anything because they had no time to really plan anything. So they had like a one display with a little, you know, a tent and some posters and a Lego sculpture, like Bionicle. But like that was it. Like they just went like insane in the last couple of months because they had realized how bad they had done this, and they needed to, you know.
The Comic-Con was 2015
with New York.
Oh.
Was it?
No, I don't hear. No, it was even earlier than that. It's 2014.
2014?
Are
you sure?
The Bionicle mask they were giving away at Comic-Con in New York was 2014 because me and Chad went into a live. Chad Collins went into a live stream and he had just gotten one.
Oh yeah, 2014. Oh wait, yeah. I don't know. I'm getting all my dates mixed up.
I'm sorry, Kevin. I didn't mean to call you that, but if I hadn't, somebody else would have got you on the Bionicle.
No, that's fine. I'm looking at you. I just
even remember that is because me and Chad showed up in the live stream at the same time, and it was the first live stream I ever did.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like
it was the first week of October 2014.
Yeah, I do apologize. Like now that we're getting into the end, like my dates are all getting scrambled.
I'm sorry for screwing you up, Kevin. I could have just Kevin.
Yeah. I mean it's messing with me because that is absolutely what happened. We had meetings about this. But like the dates don't line up on that. But Bionicle launched and it had a $0 marketing dollar budget because of demand shaping. But demand shaping was not happening in the year of the Lego movie. No, I mean that was gangbusters.
I wouldn't think either. Oh hell, here we
whatever. So whatever, guys, don't worry about it. I mean, the only person who's sitting there with a map and dates and red string is Clutch. So all right, it's all like everybody else. You're fine. Doesn't matter.
All right, Clutch. Comment down below and connect the dots for us.
Connect all the dots. But that was a casualty of that. Bionicle Generation 2 was a casualty of demand shaping.
That I believe with all my heart.
And there was a couple. I'm trying to think. There was a couple other themes. Again, I could look at the dates and cross. But there was a couple other casualties of that.
Like Click It. No, I'm kidding.
The Click It's. Yeah. So that is a huge hurdle. This whole demand shaping thing. This mindset that's a huge mistake, but everybody's bound by it. In addition to that, something that had become a huge problem for me, and this is very close to home. This is like, all right, let's talk about community.
Mm-hmm.
Is we really started seeing huge steps forward from Brick Universe and Brickfest Live.
There you go.
And that was really, really, really good for those shows. Those shows had kind of cracked the code, I guess, if you will, in how do you run a profitable, successful, self-sustaining, and replicatable in other areas Lego fan show. I can't speak to the other show saying that was a goal of theirs, but they had not really been exploring it that much. Over 20 years, Brick World had finally started experimenting with a couple other shows. Brick Fair had finally started experimenting, but they had already had like 10 years of successful growth in one location.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Brick Universe and Brickfest Live popped up, and they had, like I said, they kind of cracked the code and they were successful. A side effect of that is that they were about to put the entire American AFL community in huge risk from legal, from a number of people at Lego, because it was seen as a risk. This is a huge risk. They're like, are the fans, again, remember, the company sees the fans as just one entity.
Yeah.
Right? So the fans see Lego, one entity. Lego sees fans, one entity. It's the same. So the company, the events team, the marketing team, the legal team, legal's the most important. They start seeing these events popping up left and right. It's all of a sudden it's not, here comes Kevin with a schedule of here's the 10 conventions. Half of them are in hotel ballrooms. Half of them are in expo centers. They're really great. We hope to see maybe 5 to 10,000 people, right? Like that's what they're used to.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, here comes Kevin saying, Here's the list of what you're used to. Also, here's the list of the 25 Brickfest Live locations. Hopefully they see 1.5 million people this year. Here's the list of 23 Brick Universe locations. They're looking at, 500,000 to 1 million. Like, people's eyes get really wide when you start talking about that. And wide from a place of concern. And so then the conversations drastically change for me. They stop going from, Kevin, do you think it would be cool if we send a product designer to your show? Do you think the fans would like that? To, Kevin, we really think that there is a huge brand copyright violation happening here. We feel as though these shows are causing competition with our own Lego shows and our own Lego initiatives. Not how do we work together? How do we stop them? Or how do we curb them down? Or how do we discourage them? Or how do we cut off support? So kind of starve them out. Like, very uncomfortable, awkward conversations. I was starting to meet with legal more than I ever had before. And I talked about a little bit about this because, in the older episodes, how, these are very different shows that kind of popped up on the scene.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. I'm like, this is a professional business for both shows. I'm like, this is a professional business. This is not Todd getting the old Brick Fair boxes out of the barn. This is not, Brian Bonahum over in Chicago. This is not Wayne over in Seattle with BrickCon. This is an operation with a staff, with a team, with 20 locations. I remember, I don't have a magazine, do I? No. I have an instruction booklet, of course, as a Lego fan should, right? Mm-hmm. I'll just randomly pick this one because...
Oh, that piece of junk.
So, I remember getting Brick Journal magazine, because we always got a case of Brick Journal magazine. And part of my job, it was a case of, it was either 50 or 100. I don't remember. A lot. And I would go and I would distribute them to a lot of people around the office. It was kind of another initiative to get them to be more aware of the community, what's going on. And usually...
Figured out by now, Kevin.
Well,
the Lego group does not give a crap about the community.
And my job...
And the folks over in Billings think that Americans are just money grubbing, dirty. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And these conversations were not helping my battles to change either of those mindsets. So I remember, it was an opportunity to, give somebody the magazine and say, hey, check this out. Like, I mean, it would like a typical conversation for me would be like the new magazine would come out and maybe it has a really cool image of some like Cloud Cuckoo Land from the Lego movie. And I go over to licensing and I go, oh, the new Brick Journal magazine's here. You might want to check it out. Actually, some fans did some really cool builds from the Lego movie. I think you'd find that interesting since you're with licensing. And they'd be like, oh, yeah. They put like a little post-it on it and then they like put it to the side. I'm like, yes. And then I'd walk on and I go talk to somebody else about something. So I remember, I would usually get it. I would skim through it, see what's going on. Then I'd take a big stack and I'd start making my rounds around the office. I remember getting the Brick Journal magazine and I was like going through it. And I was like, whoa, holy shit. And it was a full-page ad for Brickfest Live. Mm-hmm. Something I'd never seen that. I'd never seen it from Brick World, from BrickCon, or from Brick Fair. And I was like...
Off camera, I like this.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. And I mean, I'm sitting there, and again, this is just a terrible example, but I'm sitting there, and it's like, California, Virginia, Philadelphia, Dallas, Denver, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is going to be interesting when legal sees this. And then I turned the page, full page ad for Brick Universe. And I was like, oh, Denver, El Paso, San Francisco. And I'm like, this is going to be a problem. I was like, this is going to be a problem. And again, I want to be very clear. This is great for the shows. They have cracked the code. They're being successful. For me, as a lowly market integration manager, former community manager, whose job it is to convince this behemoth of a company that it should be spending a little bit more time focusing on the fans and the community and giving them a little extra, and giving stuff for free and getting it like discounted. And, right. It was a huge risk. It was now becoming Kevin, the fans are not as innocent as you want us to believe. Because, here's the thing. We've talked about this before. When you have someone who's like a copyright violation, right? 9 times out of 10, the person doesn't know. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I won't do it again. Sorry, Lego. Right? And they move on. That argument, for me, making it to the company gets weaker and weaker and weaker as stuff like that shows up, where it's like, so you're telling me that, you can't use a giant minifigure, like a minifigure advertising your show on a billboard. Like, why do they have multiple page ads in this magazine that have that? Like, it just, my argument gets weaker.
Yeah.
And so they go, Kevin, we think you like it. And then it starts very uncomfortably. It starts to erode at my credibility as a Lego employee, because then they think I'm trying to kind of pull one over on them. Right. Like, Kevin, are you sure that they really don't know any better? The conversations start getting into that level. Right. Which are very awkward. And at the end of the day, I said it back then to a lot of my colleagues, and I remember saying it to my wife, is that I care deeply about the community and what they were going through, what they were dealing with. But I remember saying, if it comes down to me losing my job or the community getting something, I'm going to not lose my job. Right. So it's like, they're going to lose something. And cause that's just how it's going to be. Cause
I'm missing something, and I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What was wrong with the ads in Brick Journal?
So nothing was wrong with it. It was a brand new level of marketing never seen before on behalf of a Lego fan convention.
So okay. And so Lego got their panties in a bunch because they were not prepared for something like this to happen.
They were not prepared for a level of professionalism to arise from the community that would rival their own.
So they got scared.
They got very scared. And so when you get scared, what do?
Oh, you draw back and you bite the hand that feeds you.
Well, yeah, you get them, Ray. It's like, it's time to, sick them. And so that is when those two events in particular really came under the microscope for everything. I'm talking everything. What venues are they working with? Let's talk to the venues. Is there information they can share with us? Let's look at their advertisement. Are there any violations? What is the legal disclaimer on the bottom? What is their ticket prices? Like, this is not, we haven't done this before. Like, this is like drilling. Like, this is no longer a look at these cool, fun fans and what they do. This is a business to business op research, right? Like, it just takes the conversation to a different level. And here's the really important thing about this is these two events in particular, brand new, totally born out of a totally different place from all the other shows.
Sure.
The company doesn't care, doesn't see it that way. And so when Kevin comes up with these, when Kevin becomes the problem child, which I did, the moment Brick Universe and Brickfest Live became successful and started having 10 shows a year, 15, 20, Kevin became the problem child at Lego. I was the guy that
So what you're saying is you took the brunt, the direct brunt, the first initial attack from your own company.
Yeah.
Because you were there.
I was trying on my own to get a grasp of what does this mean to the landscape, right? Like, how do they play into all the other shows, and how do all the shows it's like you have a petri dish and it's green and you drop in a drop of red. What happens? Like, I was trying to get my head around, what does this mean for everything? What does this mean for how we support events, How do we treat them? What are the options available? Because these are different and they're new, and I'm not necessarily against them. I just want to see like what's the solution. I am desperately trying to get my head around it, and those two events are going 1,000 miles an hour, and I mean that, and every 1,000 miles an hour.
And to be completely honest with everyone, they haven't slowed down yet.
No, they really haven't.
They have not slowed down.
And so I'm like, how do I figure this out? And while that's going on, I'm trying to keep back the company that is ready to shut them down. I'm like, let's figure this out. And you start to get into the conversation. Well, can they legally do that? Yeah. We get into that whole thing. Believe me, there's plenty. If you've worked at any company, there's plenty of conversations of, well, how do we do that? They legally can't, but they're going to have the conversation about it anyway. And so there's things you can do. I remember having one conversation with one person. He's not at Lego anymore. He was particularly offended with the whole developments. And I remember having a conversation with him, a very uncomfortable one, very uncomfortable. And this guy outranked me, I think, 2 levels. And he said, how did he say it? He said, Kevin, I don't want you supporting these events anymore. And I said, okay, but what if I said something about like, what if we changed the program so that like certain criteria is hit and they're still in, and certain criteria is not hit and they're out. And he said something these things, they started to get blurry after the years,
sure,
guys.
That's why I started the story
2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago. He said something along the lines of, if you just don't give them anything, they'll starve away, and then I'll be happy.
Well,
It was something really shitty is what it was. It was like a really rude statement. And again, I was always in the mindset, like if you talk bad about the community, you're talking bad about my kids. But I'm also like, it's my job. Like yeah. I was like, it was a very difficult year for me. I was like trying to get more involved, and this spills into 2017 as well. But 2017 has whole nother problems. But 2016 is trying to get more involved with the company, get the company to give more to the fans. Meanwhile, the community is also evolving. And getting bigger and experimenting in other areas.
And we're online, baby. Now,
yeah,
we're YouTubing the hell out of you.
Yep. And then the conventions were changing shape. It's just like, I was like, how did I get out of one fight and into another fight? I'm like, I don't understand. So yeah, I mean, that's enough today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you've opened cans of worms that are going to stick around for a while.
Yeah, probably.
I'm enjoying.
But the for the visual, Paul and I are definitely together, back to back. We are both dealing with just ridiculous storms, right? Yeah. The new guy, he's changing everything. We all hate you. And I'm over here going like, we don't like what the community's becoming. Make them go back to being like just little guys that are in ballrooms. And it's like, like we're both like, I have finally received help. The role has been split. And now it's like a whole new fresh reign of terror is coming down. And all on the top of the company going, we shouldn't sell anything anymore. It's just like, what is happening? It's just like
dogs and cats living together.
If anybody has been following me like on Instagram for a long, like when I started it, when did I start? Like 2016 or 2017, I think is when I started it. I started my Instagram when I really, really started to just get really stressed about life and work. And so one of the things I started doing was like I started posting photos of Lego sets I would build during lunch at the office. There's other stuff I did, but that was one of the things I was like, I need to just like do something mindless. And so I would just build Lego sets. I would take a Lego set from my collection back to the office for lunch. And I would sit there for lunch, and it was usually a small set. And I would sit there and build. And over time, other people started building with me. And so we'd have we called it Lunch Lug. That was our name.
Nice.
And we would build and post stuff. So if you guys have been following me for that long, like in the story, when we talking about me, like starting to pull my hair out, that was when you started seeing the pictures pop up of Kevin building Lego sets every day. Because I needed something to just get my mind off it. I mean, I just can't even now thinking back, I got a little PTSD going on. It's just like,
that's a fact, sir.
You can't prepare for some of the nonsense. It's just like, what is this? And I'm an artist. I'm an artist. I'm a guy that went to art school, and here I am in a multi-billion-dollar global toy company trying to advocate for a fanatical fan base to a legal and marketing engine that feels threatened. What even is happening? Guys, stay tuned as we talk about this in a future episodes.
Oh my God. Great work, Kevin.
Thanks.
Yeah. I just want to hit the end button. I don't want to even do any goodbyes.
Questions down below. Yeah. We'll go through them next time. Julian's right over there.
Kevin is whoops right there.
Hey, everybody. Hey. We'll see you next time.
Remember what?
Gotta love those bricks.
Bye.